Thanks for joining us. In less than 24 hours, the governing New Patriotic Party will be heading to the polls in search of a formidable candidate to help the party break the 8-year political cycle in the upcoming 2024 general elections. Over 200,000 delegates are expected to cast their votes in this exercise. General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodua Frimpong, says that the New Patriotic Party, who have faced disciplinary actions in terms of membership leading to the suspension, are ineligible to participate in this exercise.
In Article 3(7) of our party constitution, it states, a member may be suspended from membership of the party or holding any office in the party pending an inquiry into his or her conduct by a disciplinary committee. Per our party constitution, what this presupposes is that a person can be suspended before appearing before a disciplinary committee or when a disciplinary committee would have been initiated. But as a rule, and in line with the rule of law, there is what we refer to as presumption of innocence until a matter is determined. So whereby a person has been suspended under this provision and has not gone through disciplinary committee, and the disciplinary committee has not come out with their verdict and recommended their verdict to the constituency executive, such person will vote. Please, let's take note of it. Where a person has been suspended prior to appearing before the disciplinary committee or is before the disciplinary committee, but the matter has not come to finality, such person will vote. However, where the person has gone through disciplinary committee and the disciplinary committee has come out with its recommendations and has submitted same to the constituency executive committee, and sanctions or suspension applied to the person shall not be entitled to vote. But however, also, under conditional amnesty, the constituency executive can look at the merit of their case and pardon such people to vote.
That's the updates coming through from the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kodua Frimpong. And just as you see to the side of our screens right now, you see there that some votes are beginning to trickle in already, with Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia garnering some 77.04% of the votes that we're talking about. And that has got to do with delegates voting in the U.S. The Vice President taking an early lead there. No one knows if that will translate into tomorrow's exercise. But all is set for the party with these four individuals going into the race. Joining us now is a member of our research desk, Isaac Ofieche, who's been looking at all the candidates, their prospects, and some of the data that we've seen already going into the exercise. So let's talk about that then. Looking at, first of all, the individuals that we've seen. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Kennedy Ohiene-Acheampong, Dr. Koto Free and Adainimo there on the list. That the sample that we have, from the NPP USA delegates, and comparing that to, for instance, the projections being made by Global Info Analytics on the outcome of the exercise. What's that suggesting to us?
Well, it is important to explain that the results you see there as a squeeze bar is actually what is coming from the U.S. delegates. There are about 411 delegates. Yesterday, they voted, 277 of them voted, and you can see the results on your screens. But we have to explain that this U.S. delegate that we are talking about, they have 12 votes. And so this is like the way the entire body, they have voted. And they are telling you that the 12 votes give 77% to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 22% to Kennedy Acheampong, and the rest to Adainimo, and then Free Koto. So in essence, we are talking about some 9 votes for Vice President Bawumia, and some 3 votes or so for Kennedy Acheampong. So that is their interpretation of what you see on your screens. But tomorrow is going to be an interesting day because we are looking at more than 204,000 delegates who will be voting. We are talking about the profile of the candidates. First is Kennedy Ohene-Agyapong, who surprisingly, when we all thought will place third in the Superdelegate Congress, went ahead to place second. And we saw the frustration and all of those agitations in the Superdelegates. He is a force to reckon with when it comes to this main delegate conference that we're about to have tomorrow. Second is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. This will be his first internal party election. He's been on the MPP ticket as vice president since 2008, but this is the first time he's tasting real internal elections. Yeah. He's been there. He won the Superdelegate with more than 68%. There's also Adainimo and Efri Akoto who are saying that, if you look at all the polls, they are not in their favor, but they know the work that they've done, and they know come, 4th, in November, they will have significant portion of the vote, although all the polls are pointing out to the fact that probably they may not be able to even get 2% or 3% combined.
And I mean, that's very shocking, though, looking at the individuals involved here. You have the former Greek minister, a staunch member of the party. By descent, I mean, he can go all out to claim, this is my party because of what his father has done by, setting up this whole political establishment that forms a key portion of the NPP's tradition. Then you have Adainimo also in the race.
He's been
and yet he doesn't cross the double digit. What appears to be accounting?
In fact, if you look at all of the candidates that we are talking about, Adainimo is the only one who has track record in terms of contesting this kind of elections. He was there in 2014. In fact, he was part of the candidate that made it to the top 5. And even when they made it to the top 5, we had about 2 people dropping. Adainimo was the only one amongst probably the underdog who decided to contest and had some number of votes. So he's been there before. If you talk about all the people on the ballot in terms of seniority and who has been on the ballot before, then we will say that Adainimo has tasted this kind of election before. He's been there, so he knows the nooks and crannies of such elections. But you have very formidable opponents like the vice president, who many are saying that it's a done deal for him tomorrow. But some are also saying that, come on, don't close your eyes on Kennedy Agyapong yet, because he can pull a surprise.
The reason for which many speculate that might be, walking a tightrope for the vice president is simply because of the 33% plus of the voter population who are not fully decided yet on where they want to vote. And we're going by the Global Info Analytics research that we've done, and this is in partnership with the Joy News team. So we've been looking at the figures, breaking them down, and all you see is that, yes, he has a significant majority, but as to whether or not that will give him an outright victory, because mind you need 50% plus one of the votes to be declared winner, that is in question.
Yeah. In fact, in statistics, we cannot sample the entire population, so we use a sample to determine how the population feels or the direction of the population. And if we are supposed to map the outcome of the Global Info Analytics research to the number of delegates we have, then that 32% who are currently undecided or have decided not to disclose their vote, we are talking about over 65,000 delegates. That's a huge number. Yeah. And they are the ones probably going to determine who gets that 50% plus one, because already for you to be able to declare who you vote for on phone in the poll tells you that you have taken a stand.
I see.
So we have about 44% of the delegates saying they will vote for the vice president, 23% say they'll vote for Kennedy Agyapong. If you look at that versus the 32% who are currently undecided, it makes a very big difference, because we are talking about Alan Tremantin, who has currently left the party. But before he left, from 2007 to 2014, he had some faithful followers. averaging around 9,290 followers who will religiously vote for Alan Kyerematen anytime he is on the ballot in the presidential primaries. Now he's gone. Who is actually going to, benefit from this over 9,000 delegates that Alan Kyerematen used to have?
Okay, and that's the crucial question we're asking. Isaac Ofeje with our research desk looking at the figures for us while we also do this build-up to the NPP's presidential primaries, which is live on the Joy News channel for you. This is your election headquarters, and that's proudly brought to you by Petrosol. Don't forget that we're doing this and bringing you all of the coverage because of their support, and you might want to, of course, stay on right through from today all throughout
probably
the
Sunday.
day tomorrow and Sunday, of course,
yeah.
because we never know what may happen even after the elections, because that's a crucial moment for the governing New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region. Already we know that the Regional Security Council has actually banned the deployment of heavy armed men, private militia groups that may be seeking to guard the polling ahead of tomorrow's exercise. And Nana Aljima has more for us. He's reported on that. Here are excerpts.
Ashanti region has the second largest number of delegates in the NPP presidential primary with 39,987 delegates. 2 of the 4 aspirants trace their roots to the region. Former Minister for Agriculture, Dr. Osuefi Akoto, and former MP for Mampong constituency, Francis Adenimo.
And I call upon the delegates to consider these visions that I'm sharing with you, both for the party and the nation, and compare it with my competitors who also want to bear the flag, to see for yourselves, not to be distracted by money, because how much money can anybody give you?
So it's an open field, depending on how you reach out. I come from the region. I'm a pure Ashanti by birth. Both parents of mine come from here. So I'm a pure Ashanti by birth. I'm also a Northerner by education, because I studied at Navrongo Secondary for 5 years, and that is how I've been able to rise in my educational career.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had a commanding victory in the Superdelegates Conference in the Ashanti region, polling 97 of the 119 votes. Some identifiable groups of the New Patriotic Party at the Kejetia and Racecourse markets have made an appeal to delegates to repeat the gesture made the Vice President in the Superdelegates Congress.
Bawumia abua yam papa ado bebre.
Dr. Bawumia was very instrumental in Akufo-Addo's tenure. It's obvious that he understands government better than the others. We urge the delegates to vote for him on Saturday.
As traders, we interact a lot with our customers, and they all say Dr. Bawumia is the right person. We urge them to vote him.
Another contender, Ken Ejapon, seems to be making gains in the region. The release by the Ashanti Region RECSEC on the election is signed by Minister Simon Osei-Mensah. The statement barred bodyguards of ministers and other government appointees from the inner perimeter. They are also not expected to carry any weapons to the premises. Motorbikes, which are mostly used in perpetrating violence, are not allowed in and around the premises for the election. To prevent taking of photos of ballots, delegates are not to carry their phones to the inner premises of the polling stations. Persons with intent of wearing t-shirts or items with pictures and signage of any aspirants are cautioned to exercise restraint. Only staff of the Electoral Commission, accredited polling agents of aspirants, and delegates voting are allowed within the inner perimeter of the premises. All delegates are further advised against staying at the polling stations after casting their ballots. Though RECSEC is expecting all delegates to strictly adhere to the directives, they have given the security agencies the mandate to deal with any person who flouts the directives. Many in the Ashanti region, which remains the stronghold of the New Patriotic Party, are highly expectant of the results of the presidential primary. For Joy News, Nanaya Ochima reporting.
Okay, a lot more is happening in the next 24 hours. We're expecting polling to open across the country. Let's see if there's any more directives from the governing New Patriotic Party on this. Director of Communications, Richard Ahiangwa, is joining us via phone now. Thank you for spending some time with us here on the polls. And already some votes are trickling in. I'm just wondering, in the lead up to the opening of polls tomorrow, if there's any updated form of directive to party members, delegates, or, the general public who might be interested in your activities tomorrow?
Thank you. I think that your cameras were with us yesterday at the press conference, and you have carried the press conference and reported on it as well. So I would want to say that the directives that were given yesterday still stand. There hasn't been any changes at all. Where we stand yesterday is where we are. The party is quite ready now. Preparations are still ongoing, but in terms of framework, everything has been put in place, and we're just putting finishing touches to the fiscal arrangements that will facilitate the process tomorrow for people to vote peacefully so we can elect our leader by close of day.
Looking at the directive, it appears that polling may close early. What's accounting for that?
Well, this is constituency by constituency. And as you would expect, the numbers are small. I think the highest yet would be somewhere maybe a little over 1,000 delegates voting. And so between 7, when the polls are opening exactly at 7, we anticipate that within a couple of hours that process will terminate, and then counting will be done. The strategy, or more than not a strategy, but the idea really is that to ensure that nothing goes beyond daylight, that we'll be able to get all the votes in, count them, and collate, transmit the results before it's dark. So it is a question of us trying to put ourselves to efficient operations tomorrow to make sure that we are able to finish before it's dark. My view is, given what we have done in our constituency elections, if nothing goes wrong, we should be able to get the polls closed by 2 p.m. or latest by 3, and counting should probably be done. It's a question of efficiency that we are trying to get this thing done as quickly as we can.
I see. The ultimate aim is to have, utmost security, have security presence all across the country, given the fact that you're spreading this across constituencies. What are the security arrangements? Are you handing everything over solely to the Ghana Police Service? Because the party might have its own internal security structures.
Yes, as you would have heard yesterday, the party, according to the General Secretary's statement yesterday, was very clear, indicating that security is entirely the police's jurisdiction, and so the party would not augment that by any internal arrangement. So the police will supervise the security of the polls across the country. So the police will be working very closely with the Electoral Commission to manage the process. We, as a party, delegates, our business is just go there, get a ballot, and then vote, and that's it. The process is completely going to be managed by the EC and the police service. There isn't anything that we as a party will do apart from showing up and voting.
There was lots of controversy surrounding who could serve as a polling agent in the exercise. The controversy surrounding government officials, opting to be a part of the exercise and being agents for some of the candidates. Have you cleared them now?
Well, that issue has been cleared. The Presidential Election Committee has taken a position on that matter. It's no longer an issue. It was one thing that, whilst it's not constitutionally required to preclude people from, because you can have anybody be your agent, but then in the interest of building consensus, I think that the aspirants have agreed not to allow that to be the case. So the Presidential Electoral Committee has taken a decision on that, and I think that that isn't a problem now for anybody to worry about. I can tell you with all confidence that where we are, and judging from the interactions from yesterday with the aspirants, there is good spirit in the party. The party is united from that meeting yesterday, with all the aspirants signing on to that undertaking to say that whatever the outcome, they will embrace it and they will work with the eventual winner. One of them will win, and whoever that person is will lead us into the elections, and the three other contestants with him would rally with us, the party, to go deliver victory in December. So right now, 2024, right now the party is poised, and I think that we are very focused and knowing exactly what this is about tomorrow. It's about us choosing one of us to lead us, and it's not a battle that we are willing to break ourselves apart over. So if you had any sense of challenge or problems in the party, I tell you from the meeting yesterday, the party is resolved to move forward. Our focus now is clearly laid on the elections in 2024. We're united to prosecute that election.
The concern also about party unity beyond the exercise tomorrow. Indeed, there's a moral suasion. All candidates have declared, have signed a peace accord. The grassroots will decide if you remain united, isn't it? Because they'll be voting.
Well, clearly, as a party member, there's a constitution that regulates our behavior. And so if the party is going in a certain direction, I, as a party member, cannot decide or, hold the party ransom that I will not unite behind the party agenda. That will be going contrary to the party constitution, and that individual or those individuals will be sanctioned. So what is key, normally, because of those who have contested, the pain of losing and the challenges with that, we all know as humans, those things can come to the fore. But with them, resolutely agreeing that they would work with whoever wins and they will accept the outcome of that election, the people who support them will have to move in the direction they're going. So that is one level of the unity which is being secured, that they would rally behind the individuals they are supporting to rally behind the party. And the second layer is that as a party member, you are required to support the party, defend and promote the goodness of the party. So by that, there's an obligation on me as a party member, regardless of who I supported, the person won or lost. I cannot say that I wouldn't work or promote the party's interest because my candidate lost. That will be me setting myself up for discipline, and I think that such people will be disciplined. And you heard the chairman yesterday saying that working with steering committee, they will take a very strong view of indiscipline in the party, from Saturday onward, and anybody who will take that rather unhelpful position will be appropriately sanctioned.
Okay. Richard, we wish you all the best, hoping that, of course, I will catch up with you tomorrow when the exercise starts proper.
Blessed, I wish you also the best. Thank you.
Okay. Isaac Ofia-J is still with us, still combing through the figures, obviously, and looking at some of the dynamics that we ought to be looking at. We're not talking about the women the more in terms of, the dynamics of this and the kind of role they'll be playing, looking at the numbers. So,
if you look at Ashanti region figures are quite interesting. We have about over 35,000 people will be voting from the Ashanti region. And then also we have over 39,000 from the Greater Accra region. So from Greater Accra region to Ashanti region to the Eastern region. But we were talking about women, right? Women, right?
Precisely.
Yeah, in fact, their role will be important because you heard the interview and the report that Nana Yaojima actually brought.
Yeah.
In their fellow.
The side of the story and who they are rooting for. Yes.
And in fact, if you do the breakdown of the Global Info Analytics research, you see that they spoke to more men than women. It's not
very natural.
Very natural, but they also play an important role in deciding who will be the next candidate of the New Patriotic Party.
I see.
But if you do you split the country into two, the northern and the southern votes, then you realize that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia per the poll is actually almost winning all the votes from the region, about 90%. 10%. The two of them, Vice President is leading, but followed keenly or closely by Kenneth Agyapong, all around 30%.
Yeah.
It's interesting dynamics you see in the breakdown.
Okay, we'll see how all of that will play out. Earlier I was saying it's natural that, more men will be interviewed, but ideally we're hoping to see more and more women participate in this exercise, giving, the frameworks of affirmative action and others aimed at empowering more women to participate in governance. We'll keep our eyes on that. This is your election headquarters. Expect that Joy News will definitely give you a 360 view of what's going to be happening tomorrow. But we're starting that lead up to the exercise right from tonight. The team from the political desk will be holding the election eve analysis led by the head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, who will be in studio with other colleagues to break down the figures for you and the dynamics going into the election. But just as you see there, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia topping the list in terms of the NPP USA results with over 77% of the votes. We wait to see as more and more of the figures trickle in the next 24 hours.